Okay, welcome, Mike. Appreciate the time that you're taking out to talk to us today. I wanted to start off with just a bit of brief about your background. I know you set up a successful media business. It's a seven-figure business, and you've been doing that for a number of years, and you decided to give that up for a short period to become homeless to start from scratch. Tell me about your journey, about the agency, and what prompted you to come up with this crazy idea.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first off, thanks for having me. Excited to chat with you today. Pretty much I've been running a software development agency for like 7 years now. Toll Media, not a great name. So a lot of people think it's a media company because it hasn't in the name, right? But
Yep.
not a great name to be honest. When we started the business, we were a I was running a software company, a SaaS company called Mapify and Parking Bee, and we were trying to figure out how to pay the bills. So we started, we're like, well, what can we do? We had good developers and stuff, so we started building people websites.
Yep.
And initially, we were going to be like, a marketing type of like build websites type deal. And we realized we were really good at app development, and then like got a bunch of clients, and been doing that for 7 years now, which is kind of crazy. But we really turned into a software development agency, and we never changed the name.
Hmm.
So during when the pandemic happened, and it's been like 3 years now, so
Yeah.
it's which is pretty crazy, I guess. It's been like 3 years. So when I came up with the idea, you had to take back to that, if you remember that time when things were like really crazy. COVID had just started. People were all locked in their houses. Everyone was kind of freaking out. Everyone was really scared about what's going to happen to the world and everything.
Yep.
There was a lot of people facing a lot of like pretty serious, issues. It was a pretty depressing time for a lot of people. And I personally witnessed a couple people that I was friends with or that were in my network. They were having a really tough time with the whole pandemic situation, depression,
Mm.
just sense of hopelessness. And there was one individual I knew or know that his business overnight went from a $10 million revenue business to $2 million. And One of my buddies, not a business owner, but this individual was working at a restaurant, and
Mm.
he had quit his job right before the pandemic started.
Yep.
And the reason that really sucked for him was because he wasn't able to collect unemployment. Which you think about it, it's like just not a good situation because now it's like near impossible for him to get a job, and he also can't collect
Mm.
unemployment. So um, just had all these things around me and people I knew that were just really struggling with it. That individual, was, really depressed about the whole situation, and I was giving advice about like, hey, we can still do these things, etc. And, you know, literally it was weird because I just literally just woke up one day and just came up with this idea where I was like, you know what? I know these people that are like going through this. That means a lot of other people are going through it. And the idea I just woke up with is why don't I just start over from like as low as I can possibly go? And the reason for this is I don't like just giving advice. I like doing whatever I'm going to give advice on because it's easy for me, running a business that was doing pretty well and I was pretty comfortable, even though the situation wasn't great. And I was very grateful for my situation.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy for me to give advice when I'm not going through, something as bad as some other people. So I was like, you know what? Why don't I just put myself in a situation that's as bad as I can get it to, by giving away everything. No money, no clothes, no items other than, what I had on day one, which was one set of clothes, a cell phone, and that's it. No network, no nothing, no car. And I tried to build a business to $1 million starting from nothing. And the reason for this was there's really a couple reasons behind it. One, as I mentioned, I wanted, um, I didn't want to just give advice. I wanted to help people through action. But the main reasons I wanted to do this was I knew that if I knew people struggling, there's a lot more people struggling, and this was a good opportunity to um, teach people about business as I
Hmm.
was doing it. But it was also a good way to like visually show a bunch of people like, hey, I'm gonna screw up a lot.
Yep.
Like, I run a business at the time that was doing 7 figures in revenue, and you're gonna get a lot of people that maybe not aren't business owners or look at those types of people. They're like, oh well, if they start a business, it's easy. Like,
It's easy.
they know everything
Yeah.
already. It's just it's just given to them, et cetera. And that's not the case. So people got to see, someone that's been running a business for a pretty decently long time start from zero and screw up and know
Yeah.
that it's okay to screw up. And this is what the journey's like.
Yep.
And, I'm going to screw up. You're going to screw up. You're going to be making all these life changes potentially. The world's different now. You're going to make all these changes, and it's okay to mess up while you navigate things. That's how it works. That's how the world works. So it was a great opportunity to also maybe show some of the things I might know about running a business. And but again, more importantly, just like fail in public over and over again, so people can kind of know like, hey, it's okay,
Yep.
but also don't sit on your ass. Like, make shit happen. Let's go. Like, don't just sit around and wait for things to change. So that was really the main reason I had started the $1 million comeback project.
If I had to summarize that, it sounds like empowered empathy. You felt an awful lot for the people around you that you saw in your life that were struggling through the pandemic, and you wanted to find a way to just show them that things could be better and not just tell them or give them advice. For the people who haven't watched the $1 million comeback, do you want to frame up the rules that you set for yourself? You mentioned some of it a second ago, but if we could step through, what were the guardrails that you set up for yourself to begin with? Because the more I listened, the more I watched the first episode again, and I was both inspired and just I thought that you were crazy in terms of what you'd given yourself to be in.
Yeah. So in regards to the rules, so essentially like I wanted it to be a situation where I was starting from again as low as I could go. So I didn't want someone to watch and be like, oh well, Mike has a car, so he can use a car. So like
Mm,
I want to be like, no, motherfucker, like I don't have a car. Like I have the least amount I can have. So the rules were I started with one pair of clothes, a cell phone. I started with no money. I started with no network, so I couldn't use my network. I couldn't leverage my connections. I went like undercover.
yep.
So it's kind of similar if you know Undercover Billionaire. It's kind of
Yeah.
similar to that. Um,
They had a car.
I did, yeah,
Glenn
yeah, that's
started with a
true.
pickup truck to begin with.
Yeah, not having a car was actually really
Oh.
tough. Like after the first day, I highly regretted that rule. But in hindsight, I'm glad I did it. But at the moment, that wasn't fun. But in regards to uh all those things, it was just really like how can I start from as low as I can go, and all I have is my mindset and like my know-how.
Yeah.
I did change the undercover part a little bit. So initially I was going by my middle name, which is Scott, so I was
Mm,
going by Scott Black. And then someone got like really pissed because they found out that they somehow found me and they knew that I like said my name was Scott and it wasn't
yep.
actually my name. So after that, I stopped going by Scott and I started going by Mike Scott
Yep.
instead of like Scott Black. So uh that was the only like weird thing that happened that where it was like, okay, these rules are a little bit, I had to change it a little bit. But other than that, those are pretty much the rules. Day one, no money, nothing, and nowhere to live.
I remember watching that first episode, and you literally had nothing. You actually had to walk into a store and ask someone for a cup because you didn't even have a bottle of water to just to get something from a tap or a faucet. You literally had nothing.
Yeah, two people actually didn't give me water. I like was like, like
It's free.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, like two companies two businesses I walked into did not give me water. I don't know if we put that on the in the video or not, but I like couldn't believe that like people
Yeah.
just like wouldn't even give me water.
The bit that you did show was the lady did give you a cup, but it was a tiny little small Dixie cup. So
Yeah,
they gave you the
yeah,
least amount they could possibly get away with.
yep.
So you framed up like what you had to start off with. What was your goal within the 12 months? What were you hoping to accomplish?
Yeah, so I mean, the vanity metric goal was make $1 million in 12 months.
Okay.
If you ask people, which is actually not their true internal goal, but if you ask people like, hey, what are your goals? What do you want to do? They're going to say, I want to make $1 million.
$1 million. Yeah.
Um, which is not true. Like people just say that. It's not true though. If they really think about what they really want, it's not to make $1 million. But that was mainly the reason we chose, $1 million in 12 months. Super easy for people to understand. Um, but the real goal, like I said, it was just really show people like, hey, you can do this. We're gonna do it together,
Hmm.
and you're gonna see me screw up, and you're gonna see me do some things right, and hopefully those things that I do right, you can like maybe learn from some of that and take
Yep.
what you will from it. So that was really the main intention of the project.
I was impressed with some of the initiative that you showed, like just really basic everyday things that almost anyone could apply. like flipping stuff off eBay, finding something that's free, putting back into the market. Can you talk through like some of the things that um, people starting out could learn from and leverage?
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy like how much money you can actually make from just flipping stuff.
Mm,
To be totally honest, I covered it a lot in the beginning. And it's probably like the number one question I get from people is like the flipping stuff.
yep.
Anyone watches the content, it's like flipping couches and doing all that stuff. You make a lot of money. I actually like don't talk too much about it though and answer people's questions when they reach out because I kind of feel bad because you're like taking someone like listing a free couch where someone might get it for free and then you're like selling it. But it is a really great way to make money like very quickly, especially if you're in
Hmm.
a desperate situation like I was. So like all you're doing is you're finding anywhere something that's undervalued potentially somewhere else.
Yep.
So in this case, the arbitrage I was really doing was between Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
So there's people that still use Craigslist, and they post stuff, and there's people that post stuff for free on Craigslist. And here's the thing: when people post stuff for free anywhere, people do post for stuff for free on Facebook as well, in Marketplace. But when someone's posting something for free, the value prop, if you think about it, is I want this gone as quickly as possible
Yep.
with like no effort.
Come pick it
That
up.
is the value prop. So if you can like fill that value prop for them, you can take that item and then go sell it. So in my case, if you think about couches are heavy items. They're not
Mm,
easy to get rid of.
yep.
So I was just finding couches that were listed for free on Craigslist, and I was reaching out to them. And at first, I didn't realize that that was the main value prop until I started calling people. So I would just reach out and I'd say, "Hey, I can get rid of this right away, and or I can come take this right away because you always do on speed." But then when I get a call with them, then I realized like how much the speed was actually important. And I was pitching to them like, hey, you know, this might sound weird, but I help people sell items, and I can get this couch sold for $100. I take 50%
Yep.
of that sale, and I can have someone there like very quickly. And people be like, I don't care if I
Don't
get
even care
fifty
about the
bucks. Just
money.
like I want someone here like ASAP. And I was like, great. So then when I started calling, it was different. Like I'd be like, hey, I can get rid of your stuff ASAP. Like when's the quickest time that you'd like this gone was more of the combo. Um but yeah, so like what I was really doing, if you like really look at it, it's like, taking things for free on Craigslist or just Craigslist in general and listing them somewhere else for more money. And the way you can make money with that is really by identifying a certain thing. Like if I were to actually try to like if I was just starting out and I wanted to, really make money doing arbitrage, I would maybe identify like one, two, maybe three things
Hmm.
that I really focus on. So I kind of become an expert at it.
Expert.
So when I see that thing, I know how much it's worth. So when
Mm,
I see a couch, there's a lot of dud couches that would never do well doing this, but there's certain couches that are nice couches that you can identify and go, I know this will sell for at least $100. So
mm,
if you start doing it, you'll start learning what actually sells and what doesn't. And in the case of, what I was doing there, I actually never did this like arbitrage type of thing before. I just figured, oh, well, I can probably flip stuff on Craigslist or like Facebook. And what I realized initially was like, I was like, oh, shoot, I can't pick this up. Like, I don't know how I'm going to pick this up to sell it. And I got so desperate that I just started taking it off Craigslist and listing on Marketplace.
Yes.
And then when someone would like reach out, then I'd reach out to the person on Craigslist. And I was like, wait a second, I can just offer them half and I never have to touch it. Like I
Yep.
can literally do this without, leaving my phone. And then I realized I can do this anywhere in the US if
Yes.
I'm doing this. I don't have to be located in Austin because that's where I was doing it initially. And then I started doing it in other cities.
Yep.
The only downside is get banned pretty quick. Not banned, but I got like shadow banned. I wasn't allowed to use Marketplace because Facebook thought I was doing something weird. So like eventually that could happen, but yeah, that's
If effectively you were finding a buyer, so you found a buyer and you were getting a finder's fee or a commission for finding that couch for them. It was impressive that you got around your limitation of not having a car. Um, every problem has a solution. I love it. Now, you had a goal of getting to $1 million. Now, flipping couches isn't going to get there. Tell me about the evolution of how you started to upscale your ambitions and your operations.
Yeah, so I had to I had to remember back to because it's been like 3 years. But so for me, I didn't have anything. So
Mm,
like the number one thing that I needed as quickly as possible was money for just like food and clothes
hmm
and a computer. So I think by day two or day three, I had made like $350 in profit just flipping stuff from my phone, which
hmm
was totally insane to me. And I thought I was gonna be able to make way more money up until I got shadow banned because I was like, wow, this is working so well. I'm just gonna keep doing this.
Yep.
Um, so once I got that money, the first thing I did is I got clothes and I got some food. So like maybe like spaghetti, some beans, and was good to go. Um, and then the rest of the money I bought, I still have this by the way. I bought like the shittiest computer. It was like it was 4 gigs of RAM and it was like bent. Like it was such a bad computer, but it was like it's all I needed because once I had access to the internet, now I can actually start building a business. So first thing I did is I got on Upwork. Upwork.com is like a freelancing
Yep.
platform where you can find freelance gigs. And I just started applying to everything I could. I also was like, it was interesting. I think I had job opportunities like day two. I just was like, I don't know if it's worth it. They were like $9 an hour, $15 an hour. I even got one for $25 an hour.
Yep.
Just through Craigslist, which was, a way to start getting some cash and stuff. But I decided to like go the business route. So what I did on Upwork is I was looking for different types of jobs, like sales jobs, executive assistant jobs, things that paid like 20, $25 an hour. So
hmm
I could really start building maybe a little bit of a business, but really it was to just get some cash in so I could like actually be like have some form of a safety net for food and stuff like that. So um I started and I didn't have experience with a lot of things I was applying to. So what people think is like for example, I got a job. One of the first jobs I got was I was like an executive assistant for a company that needed help with MailChimp,
hmm
which is just like a marketing software. I've literally never used MailChimp prior to like reaching out to this lady. And I was just making Loom videos and saying, "Hey, I see you need help with MailChimp. I'd be happy to jump. I'd be happy to help you with MailChimp." Um, and I would just get on a call and then say like, "Hey, I can help you out with MailChimp, blah blah blah." They don't care that I didn't necessarily have experience with MailChimp. I just took the time to then
To
watch
learn.
YouTube videos and figure it out exactly. And I didn't
Yep.
bill for the time that I was learning
hmm
because if you think about it, the business owner just wants it done. They just want
mm
someone that can think critically and get the thing done. So I didn't even need to have experience. And I think that was like $20 an hour. And then I
hmm
got another job for $20 an hour doing cold calling, which it's crazy as it sounds. I've never cold called ever in my entire life. And
Yep.
the reason I say that it sounds crazy is now, like in my business, we cold call all the time.
hmm
But I didn't have any experience cold calling. And that was $20 an hour plus commission for every deal. And that was great. Like I closed a good amount of deals. I made like a pretty good amount of money doing that. And then
hmm
I got a job as an executive assistant for a lawyer that had a law firm, and I pitched him on a retainer eventually, and that's how the business started that I started during the $1 Million Comeback Project, which was like a social media agency. So once I started working with him, I had an in with him.
Yep.
I realized his pain points, and I just pitched him a retainer. I was like, "Hey, you need help with social media. I can help you with social media. I'm really good at social media." And to be honest, I went and hired like someone in I think it was in the Philippines to edit the videos
Yep.
that we were making for this individual. So I had to like learn all of it, but I was able to learn it quickly. You just look stuff up, and then that individual doesn't have to take the time to do it. So just learned how to do that. I signed, it was a $2,000 a month retainer with no experience.
hmm
And then from there, I actually signed a $3,000 a month retainer. That didn't last very long, but it was with a company that raised over $100 million, which is insane. They just hired this like homeless kid to do their social media. But I got that contract uh, through another agency. So someone had posted they were looking for help with that. It was an agency. They needed someone who's an expert at like that stuff. So I just found someone that was good at it to work with me on it.
mm
And, we signed that retainer. It was again, $3,000 a month. Didn't last very long, which you can see in the video. Cause the individual I got didn't I didn't do a good job of hiring the right person.
Yep.
Um, and that stuff happens when you're, starting stuff from scratch. You're just going to deal with that. But so we got like those types of contracts. And then that was the first business. It was like a social media marketing agency. The second business was a coffee company. So, I figured, the easiest way to make $1 million with the amount of time that I had was probably going to be through e-commerce.
Hmm.
It's not going to be through maybe services or
Hard
services
to
would be much
scale.
more profitable though. Yeah,
Hard
it's
to
just
scale.
you can scale ads with e-com like very easily if you once you kind of figure out something that works. So that
Mm.
was kind of what I was banking on. So all I did is I went to I was like, well, I have to move super fast. I need something that I can like, I can't like create a product from scratch. I need something I can sell. So I went to the farmer's market in Austin and I just started talking to vendors. I just went around, talked to vendors, maybe tried some of their products. I thought that they were, interesting. And there was a coffee vendor and his coffee was really, really, really good.
Hmm.
And I decided right then there, we're doing coffee. I just need to create a brand around this. So um, I spent some time over like a week and I came up with doing coffee for dog lovers. So we're gonna be really specific, niche
Hmm.
down. What do we do? Who do we do it for? Pretty much. Pick a market of people to sell to. And it was nice because it was like a drop shipping model because in that sense, I
Mm.
didn't have to store products. I need to get products. I just sell coffee and then send it over to the person, the supplier, and I collect the money and then I pay the supplier. And then we put our stickers pretty much on the back. So I did have some fixed costs, which is like buying this or variable costs up front, which is like buying stickers and
Hmm.
putting up a website and doing all that stuff. But yeah, those were the two businesses that I had started. Oh, I guess I started a third as well, which was like rent hacking. So um, I found a property that was $2,000 a month, and I rented out each of the rooms for like I think it was like $900 a month. So and there's four rooms,
Mm.
so in total, 900 times four was like the revenue.
You were
So
living rent
around
free.
four, it's like 3,600. Yeah, it was $3,600 a month in revenue, and then minus 2,000, so it was like $1,600 a month in profit. That was the coolest thing I think I did during the project,
Yeah.
because you know part of the rules were like I have zero credit, like no credit score. No one's going to sign a lease. I'm not allowed to sign a lease.
Yep.
So I actually posted on a Facebook group and I found a credit partner, someone to sign the lease with me, and I gave him 20% of the profit to sign the lease because I didn't want people to watch it and be like, oh, well, you have good credit or you have this or you have that. I literally made money, saved up money to put on the deposit, collected like rent to help with like deposit and all that stuff and like furnishing the place, found a money partner, and pulled off this rent hack. And my this rent hack that I had done was it was going to be like it was a co-living house for e-commerce business owners. So my thought process behind that was like I can get some credibility. I don't have any credibility. I'm a homeless dude with no credibility. I can get some credibility by having this e-com house and host events and do all this cool stuff. And it'll give me credibility to maybe get partnerships I wouldn't be able to get otherwise and make relationships I wouldn't be able to get otherwise.
Yes.
And it also is really profitable. So I was going to live in one of the rooms. So then I'm living rent free
Rent free.
plus
I loved it.
I'm actually making money from it too because it'd be 900 times 3, which is $2,700. I have a fourth room for free, and then I get $700 pays for my food. I don't have to worry about anything now. I can just focus on the business. I don't have to worry about my living expenses. Um, and yeah, those were the three businesses that I'd started during the project.
That was my favorite one. That last one. Did you ever watch the TV show Silicon Valley?
No,
No.
I've maybe like seen clips of it. I really haven't seen too much of Silicon Valley, though, to be honest.
That startup rent house is exactly like that. You've got like four or five people, each with their own startup. They're living in a house together, and it's a great story. Um,
Well, what's interesting, Tongue, is that business, even though it was done during that project, I signed a lease for 18 months, and I wasn't able to live in the fourth room because of some, we'll probably talk about this, but um, I wasn't able to live in the fourth room. So that did $1,600 a month in profit for 18 months. I don't know what the math is on that, but it's over 30 grand. We literally made over 30 grand with one deal while I was homeless. It's pretty crazy.
Starting from nothing, starting from nothing. So I'm seeing a pattern in your modus operandi, which is you have some limited constraints in terms of resources. You're trying to find an avenue to collect revenue. You hit an obstacle, and then what you do is you find a way to overcome that obstacle, leveraging someone else who has the thing that you don't have. That
Yeah.
might be a
Yeah,
credit
pretty much.
score. It might be a pickup, something to pick up a couch. But you're always finding a way to overcome your obstacle, leveraging someone else who has the thing that you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, what you have to do, especially if you're starting from scratch or you're starting from nothing, is you have to figure out, okay, what value can I bring? You have to be ready to bring it too. Like really bring it, really grind, like work those extra hours, like really put in the effort. Um, and you have to be willing to fail very quickly and pivot
Mm,
and change direction. And I started three businesses, which I would never recommend people to do. I hate the whole multiple streams of income type stuff. Like it's
mm,
really important to be focused on one thing, but it's okay in the beginning to kind of try different things, taste
mm,
different things, figure out different things, so you figure out what you might like, what might work for you. Um, and I don't like the constraint of like make $1 million in a year. There's a lot of advice or a lot of things I was doing that I wouldn't actually recommend people do. If you're having issues financially, like being homeless, you should first figure out like having money coming in and
mm,
get money coming in, be safe and all that stuff. Um, but if you're figuring out like first businesses to start, it's okay to start a couple different things and try some different things, and then my opinion is see what works and then punt everything else and just be
mm.
really laser focused on the one thing.
Now, throughout the journey, were there any special moments that were really important to you? Like I remember watching that very first episode where you were sitting down, it was 11 o'clock at night, and just the thought of having to sleep on a park bench. Were there moments throughout the show where you look back and you think, oh, thank God?
Oh yeah, I mean what you just explained is definitely that moment for me. So for people that haven't seen it, it was a truly surreal moment. So the project started on July 10th. I believe it was 2020. July 10th, 2020. And it was in Austin. It was over 100 degrees out. It was in the middle of a pandemic. Everyone's wearing masks like outside and everyone's like, freaking out about COVID. And it was so hot. And I had nowhere to stay. I was outside all day. I was just drenched in sweat. My only concern was water. That was like the thing I
Yeah,
was the most worried about was water. I
yep.
wasn't worried about anything else other than water. And I went into this project thinking, you know, I'm decent at problem solving. I'll figure it out on when the project starts. I didn't spend much time before the project started, like legitimately thinking of what am I going to do when during this project, because I was so busy putting together a production team,
Mm,
figuring out how we are going to market the project. Like I hired like 5 or 6, 7 full-time employees for this project to
hmm.
produce it, to market it, to do all that. So I didn't have time to think what I was going to do on day one. So I'm just giving that context because day one was bad. Like it was not good. Like everything that I was like, I turned the keys in of my apartment and then didn't have anywhere to live. And I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? And every single thing that I tried day one did not work. I
Yeah.
literally in the beginning of the day, I was like, let's go, we got this. And then I got punched in the face left and right, like all day, everything to the point where I was like, literally thought like, holy shit, am I over my head? Like I should have gotten a car. Like, what am I doing? I'm so screwed. I can't pick up these things on Facebook. Um, but you figure out a way when you're when your back's super against the wall. So one of the things I did is I reached out to as many people as I could um on what is it called? Couch surfing and
Yep.
on Craigslist. To just I was posting on Facebook groups, Craigslist, couch surfing. Just I DM'd like 70 different people, like if I could stay on at their place, and just so people if people don't understand couch surfing, it's like a site where you can stay on someone's couch,
Hmm.
and it's a community of people that allow people to couch surf. So I had reached out to 70 people. Everyone's like, no, it's COVID. No, it's COVID. No, it's COVID.
Hmm.
And they didn't want to get sick. And, I had a lot of funny DMs from like some people on Craigslist that you can probably imagine,
Mm.
like posting like, hey, can I like stay here for free. I had some weird things people were saying. Um, and just nothing was working. And I just remember like feeling so defeated. Like every single thing, I tried like 20 different things. Everything didn't work. And it was like 11 o'clock at night. And I look at this bench and I'm exhausted, like physically exhausted, mentally exhausted. And I just pulled out my phone because like the majority of the day, my videography team was shooting. Like I wasn't filming on my phone. And I, the videographer was sitting outside of my car. Like I gave him my car for the whole project. He used my car. He was sitting outside in my car, like pretty much filming me. So he's like in a nice AC car. I'm outside, like, just trying to figure out what to do. And I came over to him and I was like, hey, I'm going to sleep on the bench. Like, you can go home. It's getting late. Like, I'll shoot on my phone if I need to. I'll see you tomorrow. And he drives off. And then I go to, the bench and I pull out my phone and literally was like, this is the bench I'm sleeping on because the videographer wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I've laid down. And then maybe like 5 or 10 minutes later, I got the message from Isaac and I called Isaac, and someone on couch surfing that I met. I call Isaac, and we get on a call, and I just tell him my situation. I'm like, hey, like I don't have anywhere to stay, because he was asking like, hey, why do you need a place to stay? So
Mm.
I was like, I don't have a place to stay. I'm gonna sleep outside tonight, etc. And he like he lived like far east from downtown in
30 minutes away.
Austin. Yeah, like 25, 30 minutes away. And I
Yeah.
told him my situation. He was so kind. He's like, dude, I'll come pick you up and you can stay at my place for the weekend. And that was a pretty crazy moment. Like someone that this individual didn't know at all. And he just empathized and for the situation that I was in, obviously not knowing that I was doing this project. Maybe he wouldn't be as empathetic, but um drove 25, 30 minutes, came, picked me up, and gave me a place to stay. I got extremely emotional. It
Mm.
was just such an amazing act of kindness. It was pretty it saved my ass too. I mean, I don't know how long I would have been sleeping outside if it wasn't for him. So
You had a
uh
tough first day. It was like
yeah.
100 degrees Celsius, and for the Australians, it's like 38 degrees. That's bloody hot. Water was scarce. You'd gone to a couple of different places that wouldn't give you water. It was in the middle of the pandemic, and you tried to panhandle, and there was no street traffic whatsoever. You had an absolutely
Very little,
crappy,
yeah.
long, hot, sweaty day. And I imagine by 11 o'clock at night, you'd been absolutely exhausted. Um, have you kept in contact with Isaac since?
No, so I have not messaged him since the end of the project.
Yep.
So pretty much Isaac is a really what's the word, like to himself type of person.
Hmm.
So like at first I asked him like, hey, like I'm kind of documenting me trying to get back on my feet.
Hmm.
My whole MO was my this was the worst part about the project. I didn't like lying.
Hmm.
Part of the project is someone finds out like my identity, then I have to pretty much admit to the identity and have to remove them from you know uh I had to cut them off, which
Gotcha.
is it's really hard to, for people not to find out. That was tough, but it really sucked, like not being honest with people. And Isaac was the one person I had to be the most like dishonest with because
Hmm.
he's like, obviously, like, why are you on the streets? So my MO was that my girlfriend and I had broken up and I was living in her place and she kicked me out. Um, and I told him like, hey, like I'm trying to get back on my feet. I'm kind of just filming on my phone. Are you okay with that? Initially he said yes. And then when I started filming it like the RV on my phone, after like day 2 or 3, I remember getting really angry and he was like, please don't film. Like, I don't know why you keep filming, which I completely
Hmm.
understand why he said that because I was like always filming on my phone. Um, and then, but we were on really good, everything was great. And then I helped him sell his RV. I
Hmm.
think he wanted to sell it for like 4 grand. I think we ended up selling for like 8. So it was
Hmm.
really great. He was super happy about that. And then we kept in touch when he moved out and we were planning to have like a reveal on the on YouTube. Like there was going to be like after it was done, we were gonna like tell Isaac like, hey, this is what really happened. And I had bought him like a brand new MacBook computer. I was planning on
Ah,
like flying him to Germany because he was like super into Germany.
yep.
Like he really wanted to go there and everything. And after he moved out of the RV, he just like pretty much just started ghosting me. Like I'd hit
Oh,
him up, be like, "Hey, you want to hang out?" Or like, "Hey, you want to do this?" And because we wanted to do this like reveal, and I wanted to tell him the truth. And then he just never replied. So,
that's a
um,
shame. You never got a chance to
yeah,
thank him.
which is unfortunate because he is a really good guy. He's a
Mm,
super super good guy. He's super to himself.
yep.
Um, so like I kind of felt bad about the whole thing. Um, and that's probably like my biggest regret about the whole project. But it's really hard to like be undercover and not
But
have a situation like that.
not everyone's got a
But
film
yeah,
crew following them around. It's hard
yeah.
to hide.
Well, we didn't have a film like I wouldn't have people filming me while I was with someone because then they would
Okay.
know. They'd be like, "What's going on?" It was only on my phone. Everyone else that found out about the project, they were like, it was all very positive reactions. Like the guy who co-signed was like, "Dude, this is
This is
freaking
great.
awesome." The other dude that I lived with, I shared a room with, he was like, he thinks it's like the funniest thing. The lawyer that we signed a contract with, we're still good friends to this day. So everyone else it was great, but with Isaac though, I I don't even know. Maybe he eventually saw something about it. I don't know, but he just hasn't responded to any of my messages, unfortunately. But if he does find out, like I have a MacBook for him
And a ticket to Germany.
and a ticket to Germany, two tickets to Germany actually, him and a friend.
Oh, I wish him all the best. When I was watching that episode, I was thankful for the kindness of Good Samaritans because we need more of them in the world.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
How did you keep yourself motivated and focused? Like you went from like an entrepreneur with a seven-figure business to becoming pretty much virtually homeless with absolutely nothing, and that would have been a tough transition. How the hell do you keep yourself motivated and focused during that one transition, but then the journey to build yourself back up?
Yeah, so that was actually for me personally, just being completely honest, that part was super super easy.
Okay.
Um, that was like for me that's really fun. Like that whole the project was really fun. If that happened to me in real life, which it has a couple times, it's like for me, I don't look at it like, okay, well, I'm starting from zero. This sucks. It's like, okay, we have a really fun opportunity because there's only one way to go, right?
Yeah.
You can only go up. And like waking up every day, getting to grind, getting to build something from scratch, that's fun. Like I like the punches. I like eating dirt. I like eating beans, like that to me was it was really fun. What was interesting is like, I've during the project I got asked a lot like how you're gonna feel if you fail or you don't hit the $1 million or anything like that. And I even had some like really cool people that I like follow on social media follow me and reach out to me, which I thought was really cool. People like Russell Brunson, which is someone that I look up to a lot. He
Nice.
DM'd me. He's like, this project's super cool. And like for me, none of that was motivating at all. Like, and it was weird because I remember like laying in bed in the RV one of the nights and just thinking like, man, like I just like truly don't care if I don't even come close to $1 million. And like I'm not even like driven to work harder because like someone that I look up to is like reaching out and saying like, hey, like this is super cool. Like I don't care if how much they see me fail in public. Um, so none of that was like a driving or motivating factor. I think like for me personally, it's an opportunity whenever you're starting anything from scratch, it's an opportunity to grow, and that's really fun. It's an opportunity to learn about yourself and learn new things. That's really fun. And it's an opportunity to prove to yourself that you can push yourself past your limits, and that's really fun. So honestly, it was really exciting to wake up every day. Like I woke up, you know, on literally like I shared an RV with another dude, and then the other place I was living at, I was sleeping on like this gross like twin bed in like a room with another dude, like waking up on like the floor every day,
Mhm.
on this twin bed, and like eating beans and spaghetti every day, and like was pumped to just grind it out 16 hours and just try to change my reality. Um, and I do remember the one thing. that was actually motivating for me, and maybe this will resonate with someone.
Hmm.
Um, the one thing I remember this very vividly that was extremely motivating. This is going to sound really disgusting. The RV somehow was like cockroach infested.
Yep.
Um, and I remember, I mean, I think like most people, I'm like freak, like I don't like cockroaches. And every night I'd go to bed, I'd kill like 8 of them. And it would just
In the
freak me
bed.
out. I'd be laying down, like in the RV.
Oh, okay.
Um, like you turn off the light and then I turn it on because I knew there'd probably be one, there'd be one, and then I would take oh, what is it? Soap. If you take like soap, like dish soap, and put water in there, and hopefully no one ever has to do this anytime soon. But if you mix it up and then you shoot it at it, it'll. I looked it up on Google. It'll like somehow kill it. They suffocate or something.
Wow.
Um,
Didn't know that.
yeah. So I was just spraying them with this stuff all night. But I'd close my eyes and then I'd like my like arm would like itch or something, and I'd like freak out. I'd like turn my light on, and make sure there was like a cockroach on me. So it was like hard to sleep. And then one night that happened, and there was actually a cockroach in my arm. And I like hit it off. I was so disgusted. I was like, oh my God, like I don't want to sleep here. And that was like like legitimately, I'm not even like not to be funny or anything. That was extremely motivating.
Mm.
Because I was like, this is awful. And I literally remember sitting up I said to myself, I am not sleeping in this RV for another week. There's no way. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
out of this RV. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm not sleeping here anymore. And the reason I say it might resonate with people, it doesn't have to be a cockroach,
Mm.
but what is it that's happening to you in your life that you're just, completely fed up with? You don't want to accept that. You don't want to accept that, maybe that version of yourself anymore. You don't want to accept whatever it is that's happening. You don't want to accept being broke. You don't want to accept whatever it is, whatever that is for you. The cockroaches were what it was for me. That was extremely motivating. Literally the next day, it was like the next day or the 2 days later, I closed that contract for $3,000 a month and had enough money to go and get a room with somewhere else and wasn't in the RV anymore. So I guess everyone has their different things that motivate them and like, push them. For me, it was something like that where I just couldn't deal with it anymore. And that motivated me to get a contract, and it was like a day or two later, signed a $3,000 a month retainer.
That's a great story. I think that pivot point is different for everyone, but they need to figure out what that point is for them. Um, you mentioned a second ago that, through these types of journeys, you find out about yourself. What did you learn about yourself during the journey, and what do you still apply now?
Yeah. So I think for me, I learned a couple things about myself. One is like I'm I probably knew some of these things, but I tend to like I'm an all in or all out type of a person.
I
And
can tell.
the way
You have to
yeah,
be to
that
do a project like this.
yeah, the way that I operate personally is I'm the kind of person to I figure out stuff as I go. And that can be great
Hmm.
in a lot of scenarios. There could also be, downsides of that. And I think doing this project, there's good things about it. There's also a lot of bad things. So, from the day that I came up with the idea, again, I literally came up with it in bed and like a day later committed to doing it. So I was like, oh shit, now I have to like hire people and figure out how we're going to produce this. And then as I was doing the project, I was spending like 40 hours a week just on like producing the content.
Hmm.
Um, which while being homeless was really, really, really hard to do. Like I was literally having conversations with my production team and I hadn't eaten that day. And if I didn't flip a couch,
You wouldn't.
I wasn't gonna eat that day, or I wasn't gonna have money for the bus so I could get back to the RV park. And I just remember like at least twice being in like a meeting with the production team because I would always have time set aside. Like I'm homeless, I'm trying to build a business, but I also have time set aside to meet with production team, answer any questions they have, and then shoot anything they need me to shoot because there's a lot of like B-roll and things like that I need to do. Um, I'd have to help them with the YouTube stuff and figure things out, etc. So I just remember being in a production meeting and being like, guys, I haven't eaten today. If I do not flip a couch, I don't have money to get back to the RV park. You guys need to figure this out yourself. Like step up, figure it out, make a decision. Like I need to get back on my phone so I can flip the couch here. So I think the biggest thing I learned is it's great to figure things out as you go, but I think I definitely bit off, I think, quite a bit more than I could chew. It was very hard to work. I was just barely sleep. I was working like probably 100 hours a week, between like trying not to be homeless and trying to like run, the production team and the 5, 6, 7, 8 people
Mm,
that we just employed that I'd never worked with before prior to the project. So I think I learned that about myself. I also think, I learned that when your back's against the wall, you'll figure it out.
mm,
When I any of the times I got desperate during the project, or like, something was like a pretty bad situation, you always figure it out when your back's really against the wall. So like, for example, like flipping the couches. When your back's against the wall, like you figure out a way to make money. Even finding a place to stay. Like part of that was like a major amount of luck, but it was also I DM'd like 70 plus people. I posted everywhere, like something eventually worked. So, when your back's against the wall, you usually will do like anything to make it happen. You just have to
mm,
believe in yourself. Um, those were some pretty big ones. That I learned. I think just like at the end of the day, some things that I felt before were just reconfirmed. Like if you put in the work, you're going to get results. Like if
mm,
you go all in, you focus on getting results, you're gonna get those results if you're willing to put in the work and go all in and focus all your energy on something, no matter how long it takes. Might take you 3 weeks, might take you 3 months, might take you 3 years. But if you go all in and really focus on yourself, just believe in yourself, keep going, roll with the punches, just don't stay down when you get punched. You'll figure out a way to make it work. So I think, that was pretty big. And then I'm pretty big on, the opposite of victim mentality. Like going into this, part of it, I think, internally was I wanted to show people like, you know, don't be a victim. Doesn't matter
mm,
what your circumstance is. There's obviously some things I can't prove because, color of the skin, for example. I can't be like, oh, well, I have a certain skin color, so people are gonna, I'm able to do this with that. Like I can't do that, but I can say like, okay, starting from absolute zero, I was able to do this. So I think, you know, a lot of people I was reaching out to, I had no experience, I had no skills. Like I wasn't allowed to use my background in regards
mm,
to saying like, oh, I run a software company. I wasn't allowed to do that. So I got jobs on day 2, day 3, just from like reaching out to places on Craigslist, and doing things like construction for like 25 bucks an hour.
mm-hmm,
And they're like, what's your experience? I was like, oh, well, waiting tables. I just made something up because I wasn't allowed to use my background. Waiting tables. That's my experience. Again, got a job for like 9 bucks an hour, 25 bucks an hour. Those first days, and that wasn't with Upwork. And then with Upwork, I got 20 bucks an hour, 25 bucks an hour, etc. All those things I had no experience doing before. So, you know, your self-limiting beliefs are the only things that are holding you back to doing those things that you're capable of doing. So, that voice in your head going like, oh, well, I've never run a business, I can't do that. Or, oh, you maybe like you really want to, switch careers. Oh, well, I don't have experience doing that. Why would anyone ever want to hire me? Um, I think the biggest thing that, I think also got out of this, I think the message was well done in the way that it was produced, was like, doesn't matter what your situation is. If someone that looks like you, that has a similar situation that you have, has done what you're trying to do, you can do it too. So I think that was the biggest, one of the bigger takeaways from the project.
that's incredibly inspirational, Mike. I love what you've done. I love the project. How can people find out more about the project?
Yeah, so if anyone's interested in checking it out, if you just go to YouTube and type $1 million comeback, or if you type Mike Black, it should show up. Um, Leon Hendricks did a really good video that gives like an overview of it. If you don't want to go through all of it and just want to see like a good overview of of the project. Or you can also follow me on Instagram. I think there's some stuff on there. If you just check me out, it's at Mike Black.
Great. I'll add those links when I post up the video of the interview. Thanks for your time, mate. I really appreciate it. A true inspiration. I love the fact that you've demonstrated that, even if you hit rock bottom, you can build yourself back up. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the time, man.
Thanks, mate. Have a great day.
Yeah,
Bye.
cool. Cool stuff.